What is a better monster but a man? I've seen stories of dragons and knights, either party dying a horrific death in the name of justice or defense or something. There are few monsters that live to outwit the horrible aspect of humanity that fuels the gods of evil. We leave these vicarious hallucinations through our children and those around us. Stalkers, if you want to attach a name to them. These creeps who become so obsessed with envy or greed that they subject their valuable personal time to pursuing and learning all there is to another. Why do we do this? Our core nature of sin calls to a sinister lust for the nasty. The world's evil isn't limited to that. By the gods, no. For why would we stop there? We have your murderers. The men and women who raise a fist, a broken bottle, a blade to strike down in rage, a stupor, jealousy. You have your thieves, stealing what one does not possess. But what unites these abhorrencies around their fellow man is the pettiness and impulse that can drive them to commit these things. The itchiness of a sticky finger, the burning retaliation of revealed adultery, the obsession of a one-sided lover. These things are all nasty aspects of humanity that anyone may fall victim to, given the right circumstances and the importance of the significant values. Then you have your connivers, corrupt individuals who manipulate the laws around them to commit atrocities. These are the people that I swore my allegiance to. The very queen that I raised my blade to and promised that I would lower it only to finalize a command by my superiors. Giles swore up and down that this was our mission, to slaughter a camp full of innocents. I trusted him. I trusted my generals. I trusted my queen. To what do I participate in but a corrupted war? Who am I to continue such a practice? The state of religion and the military are but minor social constructs preventing man from assimilating a forbidden crime. Deserting from my position in the military, based around the hatred of their actions and choices, falls under a social construct as well. Fuck the queen and her orders. Who is she to claim the innocent lives of a few furbolg shaman who happen to be in the territory of Mythal? No one remembers the cause of the war to begin with, so why am I supposed to be the one who slits the neck of a child who has never donned a set of armor in their life? How is that fair to either of us? Under his plan, Giles wanted us to kill the old and very young. I'm sure he can live with it, but by the fucking gods is that selfish to act of me. That man sleeps well every night knowing the blood that he sheds. I now have nightmares of it, considering what Cordelia and I saw him doing. It's been quite a few days now, but that doesn't change how awful I feel about everything and the regrets that I brought with me. My blade has never tasted the blood of a person. I don't know when I'll be forced to do so, but if I can prevent it, I will. I'm too young for this shit. These atrocities of war are a secondary asset to anything that the common citizen would believe. Hell, when I was younger, I believed that the Mythalians were bad, and we had to cleanse the world of them. As far as I'm concerned, the only thing that makes you a fucking Mythalian is having lived or been born in the northwestern territories of Cal. This is a joke. They did nothing wrong. Especially the citizens. They have nothing to do with the shit that the Weavers of War have done and ordered. At the current moment, I sit on a tiny stump, 5 feet from a fire pit that I built from stones that I pulled from a river a few hours ago. My camp is quaint and cute, if you'd call it that. I managed to use some of my militant training to erect a camp satiating enough for one person. I collected a few branches, sticks, and big leaves to make myself a lean-to shelter. Since we live just off the coast of a very large oceanic beach, we have storms often. My little shelter successfully fought off the rain in a horrific battle, maintaining no wounds beyond a crack that just so happens to be directly above my forehead. Thanks me. The crackling of an early morning campfire sends a chill down my spine, despite what its whole purpose is meant for. The smell of the recently awakened dew gently caresses my nose with each inhale. It is very humid, but chilly all the same, leaving a light fog atop the floor of the thick, magical forest that I am very lost in. At the very least, I found a source of water. Until I can make it back to any sort of life, I plan to rough it for a few days or weeks, depending on how long it takes for me to determine what north is. You can't see the stars or the sun for shit through the overbearing canopy. Many birds sing their songs on this fine morning. I find this is peaceful, not having any responsibilities beyond survival. Hell, I could do this for the rest of my life. People are awful. Unfortunately, though, I have to keep a promise. War is one thing, but there is that question again. Who am I? Who am I to abandon Edith? Who am I to fall back on my word? Would it mean anything to anyone if I can't keep it myself? Who am I to betray the humanity I might be able to convert towards a better world? Who am I? Well, I'll tell you who I am. I am Rhumeim, and I'm going to save the love of my life from wherever she is. I'm going to use all of the rage, muscles, and courage in my body to destroy the evil holding her captive. I don't know where she is, who has her, or if she is alive at all, but an inner hunch at the bottom of my heart whispers to me that she is in grave danger, and I need to save her. My food source thus far has been a single snake that attempted to bite my metal boots when I accidentally stepped on them. I feel bad, but I am but a man with an empty stomach and the knowledge of how to benefit myself from this situation. I suppose that principle is applicable to someone who commits themselves to good or evil, depending on how you look at it. I will need to find something soon if I plan to maintain my tranquility. The gauntlets of my cheeks is something my mother would scold me about. I miss her. My supplies are limited. I have my longsword, dagger, armor, a mess kit, tinderbox, some torches, some dried rations, rope, and a bladder canteen. That's it. This was supposed to be a quick mission and retreat, not some exhibition into the unknown. I suppose a simple few are able to prepare for this type of circumstance, though. I hold my hands up towards the fire and sigh. The fire crackles, but I hear a secondary set of crackles. Those are the snapping of branches. I lower my eyes and hold my breath, slowly drawing my dagger. I am anything but ignorant to the creatures that call this forest home, let alone the people in it. I think that I fear people more than beasts. I carefully stand and position myself to a more advantageous defensive position. I'll be damned if I'm going to be robbed of my beef jerky. I grit my teeth as a cloaked figure approaches my camp. It wears a red and white colored cloak, hood shrouding the face. Those are the colors of Arginia. The figure holds their hands up towards me as if to say it means no harm. It has a familiar blue palm, helming 5 cobalt claws. It was Cordelia. She pulls back her hood to reveal that intelligent, comforting face. The sunlight that poured through the trees made her scaly head sparkle. She takes a short breath in and looks around my camp, lightly gesturing in a, "You've really been doing this for a week? Nice, but damn it, kid, eat some meat," sort of way, if you get what I mean. From beneath her cloak, she pulls out a backpack of sorts. Still silent, she blinks at me and sits down on my bench. She pulls out a hunk of preserved venison wrapped in leaves. She peels away the casing and rams a stick through it, planting it firmly on the dirt and over the fire. Rhumeim, when I was younger, I wandered off into the forest and away from my parents. When you're young, you don't have a firm grasp on the responsibility they try to instill in you. I ran away. I ran away because I was told to help my father in the fields. I made it pretty far, too. I made it far enough out that I forgot where I was. Could you imagine a little 6-year-old dragonborn running through the forest, scared that something was gonna get you? Well, I happened upon a mess. Feathers, blood, bones. I followed it, curious. I heard munching, the sounds of a taboo breakfast. Thinking back on it now, it was a troll. Black hair, green skin, long claws, jagged teeth, hunchback. I thought it was a sick person. I walked up to it. It turned around and I screamed. I turned around as well, but it grabbed me by the head. It picked me up and bludgeoned my face off the dirt and rocks. Blood, spots, heat. My body felt nothing but heat, where fire erupted from my fingertips and burned the creature. I had never done this before, and it horrified me. But that was when my powers awoke. My connection to my ancestors. My connection to Ixen, the Dragon Knight of Fire. It deeply wounded the creature, but I accomplished nothing but angering it. When I was on the ground, bleeding out, a small team of soldiers burst through the tree line and slew the creature. My gaze affixed to Cordelia, who was staring deep into the fire, wrinkled a little. Why are you telling me this? She slowly blinked and turned her head towards me. Because this is what it's like to be a real soldier. A soldier for the Queen. They gave me medical attention and saved my life. Unfortunately, I suffered a great deal of permanent damage. But that is why I enlisted. I couldn't bring myself to keep eye contact. A part of me was both confused and understood why she was telling me this. I glanced back towards the fire and stared deep into it, losing myself in emotional attachment. Giles was wrong, and you were right. That wasn't the mission. We were supposed to do another raid on a Mythalian camp, as you suggested. He took it upon himself to... I'm sure you remember. I know how you think, Rhumeim. The generals and queen did not actually order this atrocity. You were lied to. By Giles. I sighed a small breath of relief. I suppose I could take her word for this, but look at what happened the last time I did that. If what she says is true, I suppose everything isn't over for me. I was promoted to the new squad leader. I told the boys I was doing some reconnaissance. I should probably get back. It was nice getting to see you again, Cordelia. Likewise. She stands up and brushes her white cloak, leisurely glancing around the forest. Take what I said into consideration. You might not hate the city. She packs up her belongings and leaves, gifting me a hunk of meat as a gift. I'd be lying if I didn't say that it was exactly what I needed. If you had asked me how much time had passed since I had seen a living, breathing person, I wouldn't be able to give you an answer. Maybe I do remember, But things like time and dates barely matter when you're on your own. Perhaps 4 years I've been on my own. I know these forests pretty well, but I shy away from the road. People are too much to handle usually. They tend to be merchants, utilizing their overwhelming sense of charisma to slink away some pocket change. You don't need money when you live by a creek. Hell, the most interaction you have is defending your property from wild animals or other cryptid monsters attempting to secure a snack. Whether it's me or my game, I couldn't tell you. I wonder if my father would be proud of me if he saw me like this. I'm sure he wouldn't be. I'm sorry, John. What the hell am I doing here? All I'm doing is pissing away my opportunities. I'm wasting time. I find myself growing bored of the nomadic lifestyle. Sure, the simplicity of it all is comforting, but the repetition is brutal. Hell, I could delve into the darker aspects of life and explore that. I might have to if I had any plans on making quick money. There's a local bandit tribe that harasses the roads nearby. I guess it's time to pay a visit. Tents of varying dull colors lie scattered around the camp. Marauders and highwaymen mingle about, sharpening their weapons, gutting and cooking meat, gambling. A thin stream cuts through the center of the clearing. The stench of rotten fish leads my gaze to a grizzled butcher. His skin is pulled tight to his body, mouth snarled to a smile, and a red bandana holding his hair back. He slams his cleaver down onto the chopping block, violently severing the fish head from the rest of its body. He looks towards me and spits on the ground. "Hey there, the fuck do you want, smooth skin?" You know, at first, I didn't know how to respond. I had a foreign level of natural confidence and instinct with interacting with these people, but at the same time, I had an overwhelming sense of, well, what the fuck do I want? Do I remember how to speak? For the love of Drowy, I forgot what anxiety is like. They're totally gonna fucking skewer me if I don't speak up. I can see their grip tightening on their spears and swords. Their grizzled, nasty looks bore deep holes into my soft farm boy brain. You know what, Rhumeim? You're a bandit now. Fuck these guys. I clear my throat and spit onto the ground, gritting my teeth and looking him dead in the eyes. I'm looking to join your camp. I must have looked so stupid doing that, because the whole camp erupted into laughter, slinging different insults and other languages at me. It was belittling, because I knew that I was a big, wild-looking dude. Pride aside, I shook it off and maintained eye contact, emanating as many "I'm serious" vibes as I could. I suppose it might have worked. The laughter died down, and it soon became awkward silence. The shifting of weight on one foot to another was a staggering boom. I don't know who expected who to speak first, but I maintained my ground. Eventually, the grizzled butcher sighed and gently placed down his cleaver. "You'll need to speak to Jules. She's in charge around here." My face rested a bit, and I nodded my head, thanking him. "And where would I find her?" "You'll find her in there. Word of advice, kid. Don't look her in the eye for too long." That was a very strange thing to say, but I heeded his warning with caution. I mumbled a light "thanks" before walking over. I very quickly became a joke of the camp. It felt akin to a schoolyard, and I was the new kid at school. Well, I was. These chumps are no different than the schoolhouse bullies. There's just a lot of them in one place, and they have knives now. As I lift the tent flap, I instantly notice a figure that was vastly beyond what I had ever seen before. She was powerful, stocky. She was clad in a metallic scale mail set of armor, with patches of real, serpentine scales amidst her yellow-tinted skin. Her face was sharp and angular, very intimidatingly so. She radiated a powerful, domineering aura. Her facial features were that of a seasoned warrior, riddled with scars and disfigurement. A sophisticated mercenary. She dons a pointed widow's peak hairstyle, as black as her talons. Her single eye glows a sinister yellow with a singular black slit in the center of it, glistening a tad due to what seems to be an additional protective layer of clear scales on it. The left remains a hollow, pinkish socket that has collapsed in on itself. I remain in silence for a while, respecting the hardships that she has obviously won and lived to tell about. I may have overstepped my boundaries with this. She contorts her face into a menacing snarl, revealing a wild set of fangs and a black forked tongue. At the same time, she puffs up her chest and begins to rise, standing a few inches above my head. The fuck are you staring at? Are you looking into my eyes? I was taken aback by this, and spoke before I had the chance to think about it. I had not intended to be rude. In fact, I was admiring the ferocity and tales that your scars have told. And yes, I was staring into your eyes, at the wound that is troubling your ego. Why was I so forward? Is there a reason for all of this mismatched gusto? I'm not like this. By the gods, I feel so rude. I might be at the end of her blade soon. The serpentine barbarian smashes her great hands onto my shoulder and growls at me, narrowing her gaze and resting inches away from my face. I met her gaze and held my ground. At the very least, if this is how I died, I would live on to be a story that she tells over a heavy drink, a fire, and pissing herself laughing. You're honest and direct. You tell the truth when caught in my trap. You live. The fuck do you want? She releases her grip and lightly dusts my shoulder. She pokes and prods at different parts of my body, lifting my chin and gently scraping my stubble with her talons. I wanted to start a new life, but I have to start somewhere. And do you think that I would do such a thing for you? Well, it all depends. Nothing is free and the price isn't always money. You are wise, it seems. And you can offer what for me? I am a taskmaster, in the simplest of terms. I hold no attachment to a king and live as a freelance yes-man capable of returning with accomplishment. You use big words. These enhancers know better than a jester looking for a victory. Stop that. It will get you killed. I nod my head lightly. I appreciate this forwardness. It's valuable advice from someone that I have quickly grown to respect. It seems mutual. You are a soldier from the city of humans. You reek of loyalty. A good trait, like a dog. She paused for a moment. But you lack self-respect. This is not the real you. You are a fake, a mask to seem stronger than you are, adapting to those around you in hopes of acceptance. Stop that. It will get you killed. I hated how easily she could see through my bluff. But if I was going to be honest, it was true. All of what she said.
My name is Jules, and that is what you will call me. If you call me anything else, I will turn you into that. Do not test my anger and do not test my kindness. You can succeed or eat shit for all I care. Tell me, why do you recklessly wander into the camp, knowing that you could be killed? I ask again, but I want the truth. Why join us without knowing the cause? Suicide, if I am to label you.
She positions herself in front of me once more, leveling her gaze with mine. I want a new start to life. I was a soldier and deserted via my own morals. My previous boss had us doing horrific things, so I ran.
And you think that we don't do horrific things?
He was not a bandit. Bandits fight for a cause, whether that be for day-by-day survival, greed, justice. Giles was a monster.
You assume a lot from us. Stop that.
What, it'll get me killed?
No, you will be thrown into a hole and then killed. You are going to be one of us, and everyone will know about it. They won't like you, so you have to be careful.
What cause do you all fight for? Jules narrows her eyes and the corners of her mouth tug upwards.
You are asking the right questions. We eat the rich.
I see. Greed is a powerful thing and the gold should be distributed among those who actually need it. You rob the aristocracy and spend the money on things to help your camp. Keep them fed and warm, and in return they continue to fight for you. She shakes her head.
You understand metaphorically, but I am more direct than that. We eat the rich and stay warm.
Your methods are cannibalistic?
Precisely. A taboo act to you stinky humans, but one that you do not have to accept. So long as you perform the commands in which I tell you, it is your task to eat. I offer food, but you possess the right to reject it. We are all people living the same nightmare over and over, waking up and lacking something in life. It unites us. We lack belonging. We lack acceptance. We lack respect for the better authorities who call themselves queens or kings or generals. I am not a queen of my people. I am a leader and I am a guide. These people discipline themselves because they believe that I will follow through with my word and change their lives. And I do. That is what power is. Money makes people sick. It infects their brains and makes them apathetic, lazy, detached to the man below them. Money can buy food. Money can buy a fire. Money can buy happiness. Anyone who tells you otherwise is attempting to oppress you. Money is essential to the world, and everyone needs a slice of something nice. Everyone deserves the right to splurge, especially in times of poverty. It is a natural response to having a lot of what was not there. Noble, rich men have 100 cakes and have thrown away the knife needed to bring them back down to the level of respect that comes from a hard day's work. We eat the rich. You want a change in your life? Then take my hand and fight for me.
I would be lying if I told you that I wasn't moved by her monologue. I have met a very powerful person here, and losing this opportunity might be one of the dumbest mistakes that I will ever make, save for the inhumanity that they commit. If I am to be correct, everyone in this camp is a loyal, loving member of this community who wants nothing more than to help each other. Bandits aren't the right words for these guys. These are just brothers and sisters struggling to survive. If I was looking to spice up my life, this is definitely it. And the time to do it. Jules sounds like a cult leader. But in all honesty, her ideologies are helpful. I wouldn't be homeless anymore.
What are you called?
My name is Rhumeim.
Welcome, Rhumeim.
With that, I was led around the camp and introduced to everyone around. The butcher's name is Lawrence, apparently. He's a sweetheart. Apparently. Through the course of a few hours, I have cheap homemade drinks and get to know a few of the guys pretty well. As long as I am considered one of them and I'm not hostile, these are really just normal people with a hard shell. Also, they eat people. They have a handful of chores, and it was pretty obvious that they were testing the waters with what they could get me to do and what I would fall for. For example, I fell in the shithole because someone dropped their dagger in it, and I have the longest arms. The shithole is exactly what you think it is. A 6-foot hole in the ground filled with vomit, blood, piss, shit, gunk, and hair. I was told that my ankle was going to be held on to, but you see how well that turned out. Me, the river, and 2 hours. When it came down to our actual job, Jules instructed us to station behind, in, and around some trees. I've been with these guys for half a day now. Approaching us from ahead was a covered wagon, adorned with a lavish conglomeration of fine silks and linens, displaying an interwoven crest of sorts, a set of ram horns. I did not know of the family that this belonged to, but it reeks of privilege. Ew. Look at yourself, Rhumeim. You think like them now. Is that a bad thing? I find myself still believing myself to be a civilized and a law-abiding soldier. I think Jules would tell me to stop that. It'll get me killed. There are what seem to be a team of 4 mercenaries, clad in a darker set of leather armor, protecting this caravan. One of them is steering the cart, while the others walk alongside it. A hired muscle. I give a glance over to Jules, who lifts her nose slightly. She whispers,
"Show me what you're made of."
Clutching my longsword and gritting my teeth, I pull a dark bandana over my nose and step out of the trees. I was hoping that the others would join me, but it seems as though Jules went behind my back and told everyone not to participate. Lovely. I'm taking on 4 people by myself? At what point do they decide that I need help? When I'm bleeding? Or when I'm dead? The trees blew around in the mid-afternoon. Leaves drift and flutter towards the ground, creating a beautiful battlefield laid out for me on a silver platter. My long blonde hair splays past my shoulders and over my face, like a wild dog. I'm sure they could see it in my face, too. The silent war cry of a man told to kill. It was obvious that I seemed apprehensive. I've never killed anyone before, but I sure as hell knew how to. Much of swordsmanship is about class and respect, finding where and when to exploit the enemy's weakness and bettering them with your exchange. When I was in my training, we were given the basics: how to block, how to swing, basic forms. We were also taught how to win. This was a war that I was being trained for, and they wanted me to win as brutally as possible. Everything is fair on the battlefield. I am a man of my word. I claim no rights to reign supreme. I follow orders and do so with accuracy. The 4 mercenaries obviously sensed my ambush and stopped the cart. They remained silent, weighing the situation and applying tactics to it. There were 2 approaching from my right, one on top of the cart and one from the left. From the looks of it, these guys have seen their fair share of combat and are utilizing an intimidating form of cornering. The man on the left seems to be walking faster than the rest. He has his short sword drawn, swinging it wildly, as if to flourish the "I'm gonna kill ya" aspect. He will strike first. He has a crooked nose and a flattened forehead, flashing his brutish mentality. Then, the man on the cart will hop down. That's fine. The man approaching from the left does exactly as I predicted. He quickened his pace and attempted to swing at me. I matched his speed and lunged towards him, dropping to my knees and sliding past him. My armor plates prevent any damage to my skin as my legs vibrate from the gravel beneath me. I slide my right hand up the mast of my longsword and clutch the blade between my fingers. The handle of the blade runs perpendicular to my forearm, creating a cross shape. Rotating my entire body and thrusting my sword, I plunge the steel through the back of his knees, causing him to buckle under the weight of his pain, screaming. At this time, I notice that he has a whip clipped to the side of his hip. I take this opportunity to pluck it off of his side and unfurl the leather. I tug my blade from the flesh of the crooked-nosed man. He howls in pain as he attempts to right himself. I should have a few more seconds until he's a problem again, so I forget about him. Slamming my left hand down in a watery motion, I unleash the power of the whip against the face of the man on top of the cart. Unbeknownst to me, the whip had a tiny metal nail implemented at the end of the tip. The blood-curdling tear of skin combined with the thunderous snapping of the leather sent shivers down my spine as I watched the entirety of the man's cheek slice itself apart, permanently widening his smile. His blackened teeth slam together, chipping in the process. His head vibrates in compensation, processing this new sensation. He billows out in pain, further tearing the laceration across his mouth. Blood drips down onto his chin and paints his stubble beard with a wonderful shade of ouch. The man drops his recently drawn mace and cradles his face. The whip plummets onto the ground and I slowly pull it back. I glance backwards at the man that I stabbed before, and he has seemingly lost function to his left leg. The other 2, untouched mercenaries, keep their distance and raise their swords apprehensively. Having this extra few seconds to myself, I plant my boot into the back of the wobbly man and kick him to the ground. A healthy coin purse spills onto the dirt, glistening in the sunlight that pours in through the trees. Sucking in a lungful of air, I spit out, "You've already gotten your coin from the rich bastard in that caravan. Leave! I don't give a fuck about you unless you're still swinging a sword at me." My masquerade of intimidation seems to be working. The other 2 mercenaries slowly back away and sprint back where they came. The 1.5 smile man weeps to himself and climbs down from the cart. He holds his bloody hands up and gently scoops up his friend from the ground, limping away after the others. "And I'm keeping this whip." I stood there in shock, disgusted at what I did. I can't believe that I'm capable of something like that. For the love of the gods, I should be ashamed. Some might revel in the stink of power here, but I just feel dirty. Those men had families. They were hired on to escort this man, thinking that the best they had to fight off was boredom. I might have just disabled 2 of them. Fuck, I can feel the tears. My stupor was broken after I heard Jules slowly clapping as she walked on over to me. Her serpentine scale clusters seemed to reflect the deeper emotions within her. Amazement.
Rhumeim, you are now my favorite. You drink with me tonight, and every night.
Soon after her statement, the other 19 bandits emerged from their hiding holes, boring deep within my anxiety the feeling of envy, hatred, amazement, fear, and respect. Their silence was painful, but if looks could kill, Jules declares,
I will take care of the fat man. You stand there and watch. You have done your part.
The rest of what happened was a blur. I vaguely remember watching Jules and the gang ransack the noble for all of his money, stripping him naked and hog-tying him to a log. I also have flashbacks of his piggish squeals as the scent of burning flesh wafted through my nose. The butcher was involved. A bloodbath. A feast. My vomit. All that I was going over in my mind was the fact that I was a monster. My father would weep at what I have become. This wasn't what would have made him proud. But then again, if I keep thinking about how others think of me, I will only drag myself down. I obviously excel here. And if this is the life that I subjected myself to, I could live happily, ejecting my morals and indulging in the taboo. I don't know that this is right for me, but I could do this for a while if I had to. These people party and drink like I haven't seen before. They wipe the blood from each other's mouths like a caring mother would to a messy child. I couldn't help but collect a fine handful of bitter glances from the crowd. I was the talk of the night. They would go on and on, acting out different iterations of my performance. The whole exchange wasn't even a minute long, and I'd become a legend to these people. That just isn't my thing. The whole ego aspect of this is flawed. I don't want to be remembered for being a monster. I want to be remembered for my candied yams or the way that I sneeze or something. Not this. By the gods, who the hell would smile upon me but an insidious demon? I drank with Jules. She holds her liquor horrifyingly well. She is also loud and motherly. Numerous times throughout the night, my head was pulled into her armored bosom in a jest of cheer. I wasn't into it, but I played along as the stench of blood and mead beat me into submission. Naturally, I didn't care about the cannibalism factor. They apparently had a hard time getting the rings off of his tight fingers. The butcher solved that one rather quickly. Irrefutably, though, I was offered the fingers. Cooked, of course, like that was the swaying factor. They apparently all remember what it's like to be pure. With the overall excitement dying away, the moon called for me. The wind is my lullaby, while the crickets and wolves find their way as background noise. Some of the horses dug at the undergrowth. I stationed myself by a stump toward the outside of the camp. I'm sure that I could have slept in the same bed as Jules if I wanted to, but I really didn't. This is fine. It's not like I haven't been doing this for the last few years. Luckily for me, sleep came easily. It was nice to feel as though I was accepted. I wasn't sure how I felt being the camp leader's favorite, though. I'm sure that doesn't sit well with anyone, considering I'm a newcomer. The shiny new toy of the camp. I feel safe and welcome. Well, at least by one person. My dreams take me to strange places tonight. A flowery field, much like the ones back at home. I see my mother. We're having a picnic, it seems. She has brought fruits and bread, alongside some tea that she has magically produced. I find myself crying, seeing her again. It's as if I'm 5 once more. The chirps of cicadas tell us that it's hot here. Much like before, everything begins to crumble around me as the sky turns green. The clouds swirl around us, and the winds kick up. The sunlight has all but vanished, bathing us in brief glances of each other between the flashes of lightning above. My mother begins sobbing, but it is not tears. It is deep crimson. Blood. Her beautiful blonde hair flakes away and decays. All around us, the flowers wither away and die. All of the moisture within is siphoned by the wind and funneled upwards, where nothing but red flows from the foliage. I feel a searing pain and emptiness expelled from my tiny body as I bleed from my nose. The blood does not flow onto my clothes. It drips upward, collecting into the whipping hemostorm. My mother's face contorts and withers away as she sweats away the life force from within her body. Her eyes melt and leak onto her pretty dress, where she falls face first into my lap. I scream and scream to no avail, for the sounds are drowned out by the whipping winds. My brain feels hollow and stings like a migraine. Spots form in my vision where I can no longer see the corpse of my mother. Out of the corners of my capable sight, I see the colors bleeding dry from the world. Everything is gray. Once again, my head throbs as I find myself getting weaker and losing my strength to wail away to the wind. That's when I woke up. Glancing down at myself, I was soaked in a thick layer of blood. My blood, I think, where I lack the strength to move my arms enough to diagnose myself. My throat stings like nothing I've ever felt before. My head is booming, and I feel extremely dizzy. I think I'm being carried. The hazy spots in my eyes make it difficult to make out my surroundings. I feel cold and empty. Additionally, as I attempted to breathe, I choke and gurgle, watching a blood spurt out from a tiny spot below my chin. Blinking hard and struggling to maintain a semblance of normalcy, I begin to panic. If only my vision would be cleared, I would be able to assess the situation. My thoughts are scattered and I am slow to think for myself. I lack the strength to fight against whatever is happening to me. It is entirely unknown to me if I have just fallen unconscious again and rewoken. I find myself in a state of comatose, trapped in a mind fully capable of processing an out-of-body narrative. All of that seems to change as my body begins to register new aspects of pain all over my body. It seems as though I have been thrown into a ditch. My head smashes off various rocks, and my arms are squished under the weight of a confused dead man. May it be adrenaline or sheer will, I am able to clear my thoughts and sight enough to gather my clarity. Above me, on the ridge of a tiny ditch, there are the bandits that I drank with a few hours ago. They spit onto my body. Many of them leave and sling amalgamations of swear words at me. One of them stays to unbuckle their pants and piss on my incapacitated body. They take great effort to aim for my face. Soon after they've had their fill, I am abandoned and left to bleed out. I find my life flashing before my eyes. The way Edith used to smile at me. The old women who used to poke fun at my hair. The last drink that I had with my father. I'm gonna die here. This is it, Rhumeim. This is what it meant to be a bandit. You lived life and learned the consequences. You are passing away in a ditch with a slit throat. I'm sorry, Edith. I will be with you soon. My vision fades to black. With the last updating sound I hear is the voice of a woman that I've never heard before. Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. 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 This is really, really bad. Okay. I can definitely fix this. Just you wait, blonde boy. Daylight. My head is killing me. The light hurts in ways only comparable to a hangover. Reminds me of some of the nights I was drinking with my platoon. Wait, why am I alive? I was sure that I died, or should have at least. Looking around, I couldn't tell you what part of the forest I was in. The mosses of the trees, the occasional rotting stump, the gentle roar of the nearby stream. I could be anywhere. This was not a very specific location. I am at a campsite. There seems to be a large militant war cart, where the contents are hidden underneath a navy blue tarp that stretches across the whole thing. 2 war horses stand tall and mighty at the ready, digging their hooves into the dirt. One is black with speckled white spots, while the other horse is a light tan. The fire crackles and is lightly poked at by a tiny figure in a thick goatskin cloak. She is a halfling, jittery and kind. No taller than 4 feet, with stout, strong feet absently digging into the dirt. Her orange hair is frazzled, with sticks and leaves poking out. Her face is spotted with hundreds of freckles that cake the top of her small nose. Her mouth snaps open and reveals a set of somewhat gappy teeth. Oh my goodness, you're alive. Okay, it worked. It worked. Huh. Do you remember your name? How old are you? Where are you? How are you feeling? Are you a zombie? Can you feel your toes? How is your sense of smell? I let out a light chuckle. I held up my left hand to slow her down. If I didn't, she might explode. Oh, thank you, kind lady. My name is Rhumeim. I'm in my 20s. I think I'm in the Argonian forest. My head is booming. I am alive and breathing. My toes are fine. And I can smell the wonderful morning dew. Okay. Awesome. My name is Dana Mapleleaf, alchemist and traveling merchant. And I would like to have tea with you, and then I totally have to leave. I have a thing that I need to do in Mythal, and I paid kind of a lot of money to do it, and I really can't miss it. But I should be okay for about an hour. Oh my goodness, you're in a horrific state. What the heck happened to you? You had severe blood loss, and somebody peed on you. I shook my head and scratched my beard. I fell in with the wrong crowd. I was homeless in the forest here for a while, and I thought that I could get in with the bandits. Dana pursed her tiny lips and listened very carefully. You have kind eyes. You shouldn't be a bandit. You are very sweet, Dana. She takes a tiny kettle off the fire and pours a cup of tea for the both of us. I took the cup and smiled. You have strong arms. Are you a farmer or a soldier? Are you... I was both. A lifetime ago, it seems. And you think that being a bandit is your forte? Now, I'm not one to judge, but, why not work at the stables outside of Arginia? You look like you ride horses and throw hay. You know what, Dana? I think that you're right. This isn't the life for me. Those bandits. I can't go back there. I was only there for a day, and I was killed. I grew up in Terenzian working on farms. I'm a fucking wreck. Oh, you sweet thing. You need not complicate your life with the idea of change. Simplicity keeps you safe in ways that you might not even realize. You don't need to rob people of their cash. You can earn it fairly easily with your upbringing. And you won't get stabbed. If you want to balance that and your experimental life, there are plenty of people who have jobs wiping out monsters. Have you ever killed a monster, Rhumeim? It's a hard thing to do. You may be risking your life, but let me tell you, getting stung by a giant scorpion hurts a hell of a lot less than betrayal. I see what you're talking about. And I totally get it. I think that you might be right. Being a bandit was such a dumb idea. It wasn't a dumb idea. You lack guidance. You look like you've been homeless for a lot longer than a few years, Rhumeim. I swear to God, this lady is gonna make me cry. What is it with these people reading me like a book? Am I that easy to diagnose? I need to be more secretive. These girls walk all over me. Anywho, I think that I need to head out. It was a pleasure meeting you. She stood up at her mighty height, brushed her pants clean of all the dust and dirt. Beneath her cloak, an amalgamation of tiny glass bottles clink around. Is there any way that I can repay you for saving my life? Any sort of work that you need? Gold? Rhumeim, the best way that you can repay me is to fix your life. Go to Arginia and work at the stables. Make some friends, do some mercenary work, kill a monster, become an adventurer. Just take some baby steps and succeed through what you love, not what you think could help you. The medically recommended amount of throat slits is 0. I see. Thank you, Dana. You're a kind soul. I greatly appreciate the advice you've given me. I give you my word. I will fix this. Thank you, Rhumeim. Good luck. I totally believe in you. With this, she hops onto her cart and proceeds with her journey. It was only 2 minutes of watching her clip and clop her happy little ass down the road, where I remembered that I still had her cup of tea. I'm sure we'll meet again. I'll give this back to her one day. I took a sip of the tea for the first time. Peppermint. As I normally would have, I glanced around to do a quick check of my belongings to throw together in my backpack. It was then that I realized most of my body was covered in bandages. My clothes were washed and folded onto a log, and the only item that I still had was my long sword. The sword, by the way, was polished and cleaned. The honor among these bandits are wildly skewed. They were jealous and hated me to the point of death. But in the event that I had to defend myself during the 30 seconds of bleeding out, they gave me my sword. I will never understand these people. Applying Jules' logic to the situation, everyone reserves the right to change. We are all people, after all, and I'm sure that she would forgive my decision to entirely abandon her family. Over the course of the next few days, I made my way to Orginia and explained my situation to the stable workers. They were apprehensive at first, but when I insisted on my honesty, they begrudgingly admitted that they needed help. I need to make my amends. These are the apologies that I need to give to the world for my lack of direction. I have seriously hurt some people, physically and emotionally, simply by doing what I was told. I need to find a balance in my life where I can help rather than hurt. I would be a fool if I believed that evil could be ignored with pacifism. I will have to kill, but I want it to be for the right reasons. For now, I need to shake myself off of this stupor, as I realize that I have been saying most of this out loud to a horse named Nancy. Do you have any advice for me while I'm at it? Nancy, the light brown workhorse, whinnies and nips at my frazzled hair. I understand completely. A bath. Nah, you're totally right. It's not my right to stink up your house here. You know, it feels right, shoveling poop and feeding goats. I'd like to say that I've worked here for a few weeks now. I do have another promise to keep. I told that girl Dana that I was to kill a monster. I suppose that I could head into the main part of the city and check out the bounty board. There has to be a giant rat or something that I could smack to death. If it makes someone happy, then that's all I care about. I do worry about the fact that I was a soldier about 10 years ago. I'm 29 now. Many a tree have suffered the wrath of my practice, and I think that I'm ready to help someone. I find myself in the festive market district of Orginia, in the middle ring of the city. Decorations are strung about, and hundreds of people have gathered to do their shopping and drinking. I felt so lost trying to find the damn bounty board. Was it posted out here, or was it posted in one of the hundreds of taverns? It was then that I was approached by a small boy with brown hair.
Hello, mister. You seem really, really strong, and I have something for you.
He then flips around through his fanny pack and pulls out a wax-sealed letter. This is from the Queen of Orginia. What could she need? I thanked the boy and gave him a gold coin. This letter made me nervous. I've been here for a few hours. Could they know that I was back already? Well, there's one way to find out. I veered off into an alleyway and popped the wax seal off the letter. I pulled out the fine paper and carefully read the intricate handwriting of the Queen herself. Hey, really quick, I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching this video. In celebration of our 100 subscriber special, we have launched our merch store. What? We have a merch store now. We have pins, and we have t-shirts, and we have face masks, and we have stickers, and I'm here for it, and I'm having so much fun with it, and I can't wait until mine arrive. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and if you did want to help support the channel, click on that link down there. It'll take you to the website. We spent a long time on it. Thank you so much.